The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the show. Brought to you in association with Levi Solicitors. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. It's Dan here with Michael and Rob, and some changes afoot.
Excuse me?
So, you know fine well what I'm talking about, young man.
Bill's probate and conveyancing.
No, that's last year's news. We're on to the difficult second album now.
But I've had 300 T-shirts printed.
Oh.
Got the full range of Will's probate and what's the other one? Conveyancing.
Jeez. Even though you're trying to
merch all lined up.
Try to trip that one off the tongue, you still can't do it all these months later.
You can get that tattoo lasered, don't worry.
Do you know what it's all about now? They're still about the big three. Levi Solicitors would like to very much stress, emphasise.
You still do those?
Yeah. It's about personal injury and medical negligence claims.
Oh.
Both two very exciting fields, I'm sure you'll agree.
I'm going to get into them.
Yeah, we will. But you're going to try both out?
Well, I've had a personal injury this morning, haven't I? But I sadly only myself to blame.
Well, we'll get onto the medical negligence in a subsequent show then. Personal injury, what have you done?
I had a fall, didn't I?
You did. Continuing your journey towards being an old man.
Yeah, I've had a fall.
You blather on incessantly about your knackered back, and you're going to the kids' sports day after this, aren't you, as well? And you'll be crying off the parents' egg and spoon race.
There's absolutely no chance I'm doing that.
No.
But yeah, I had a fall on dropping the kids at school.
Just a reminder, Michael is under 40.
It's my child's fault, in fairness. He started playing, despite being a very small 9-year-old boy with no prior interest in music. They had people coming into school to show him instruments, and of all the instruments,
Which one would you pick, Rob?
Oh, something easy. Recorder, flute.
Triangle's always a good one.
Yeah, guitar, I suppose, is, conventional.
Tambourine, you just bang away. It's not big, it don't take up a lot of space.
I don't you have tambourine lessons, probably. You just sort of...
What, did I spend all those years doing that?
You never did master it either, did you? But yeah, having been shown people coming in, yeah, here's a flute, here's a clarinet, double bass. Double bass is what he's come for. So every Thursday I have to put a double bass in a Ford Fiesta, which is not easy, and then carry it into school. And so while carrying it today in front of myself to protect my already broken back, I had a little stumble, didn't I? Because I've
had a fall, Margaret.
Yes, I've had a fall.
Did the double bass not cushion your?
No, in fairness, I protected the double bass because I don't want to break it, so I took it on my knees instead. Which is not a phrase I thought I'd be saying.
So, was this not your fault? You can see where I'm going with this.
No, it was my fault.
All right. Because did you know there is an experienced team at Levi's who can help you recover compensation for any accident that wasn't your fault?
Yeah, this was my fault.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a road traffic accident, an accident at work or out and about. That was out and about.
It was, but I'll take it. I'll take this one on the chin. It's my fault.
How much do you think you're due? Definitely due from falling over at the school.
Nothing for that.
All right. Well, let's say if it was £10,000, you might lose as much as 25% of it. That'd be like $2,500 to your solicitors if you went to the wrong people. So go to Levi's. It's a good idea, isn't it?
Do go to them, and still for the big three.
Yeah, absolutely for the big three. It's a no-win, no-fee basis. They won't take any more than 10% of your compensation for a success fee, and will not deduct any shortfall from your compensation as well. Shortfall, that's what you had, wasn't it? Use the TSB offer at Levi Solicitors and you'll take home loads more of your compensation. 10% off your legal fees as always. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. I can't wait to find out what you get between the next week that comes to medical negligence, Michael.
I need wrapping in cotton wool. That's what I need. I need the full Pat Bamford experience. I can't be allowed out the house without an injury.
You are making a habit of this, aren't you? You did have another fall on a practice walk.
I did have another fall, yeah. That was a slippy step.
How many falls have you had in your life, Rob?
I'm not at that age yet, thankfully.
I mean, I'm older than him, but...
Yeah, I just fall over, but I don't have a fall.
Yeah, there is a difference, yeah. You can fall over doing loads of stuff, can't you? But having a fall is very different.
Well, that's enough of that. Let's talk about the football. We're here for the weekly update, and the fixtures are out. We still don't have a manager, but the fixtures are out. That's exciting. Is this the moment where your heart sunk, where you went, "Oh, we really did get relegated"? That was me this morning. I went, "Oh," because if you look at the first 6 fixtures or thereabouts, it's all just a crap middling team in blue, isn't it? Cardiff, Birmingham, West Brom, sort of. Ipswich, Wednesday, Millwall, and then you're round to the exciting ones who play in yellow and stuff in Hull and Watford, and so on and so forth.
That was the thing of I was having to Google who actually plays and manages a lot of these clubs, and it's also Championship. I just looked, it It's basically not changed since we were last in it, but they're all just playing for different teams or like
someone's just
managing different clubs.
Someone just hit the shuffle button, haven't they? And it's just playing the album out of order. So you go, oh, what's he doing there? Oh, that's normally track 3. It's now track 7.
And I don't like any of these songs.
Sad thing is that we are very championshipy now, aren't we? I mean, some of the highlights, Swansea and Plymouth both away in consecutive games.
Oh, I didn't pick that one out. That is a treat.
Some of the local journalists have mentioned that.
It's the New Year's Day one for me, Birmingham at home. I hate New Year's Day football. I just seem to think it's always crap. I think that's been scarred from just terrible championship games. You're hungover, it's freezing, you're tired, and it's fucking Birmingham. Oh, come on.
It's the Tyler Roberts
Indeed.
plate, shield, trophy. Where is that trek to Swansea? Let's have a look where that one is in the fixture list. I failed to note it down. So that's February. So just before Valentine's Day. Swansea away on the Tuesday, and then we go to Plymouth on the Saturday. You wouldn't even bother travelling back, would you? Just live on the streets. Stay somewhere.
Could we walk between the two in that time?
Just stay in a hotel in. Not if you've had a fall. Stay in a hotel in Bristol, something like that. There.
A hospital in Bristol.
Yeah, for you.
It's free, isn't it? Free accommodation. I was thinking, just make sure I've injured myself badly enough.
Yeah, and there's something inherently bleak in the idea of Saturday the 25th of November, Rotherham away. Just as you're heading into the depths of winter. What else have we got that really stands out? Oh, none of it.
I mean...
and this one as well. Saturday the 4th of November, Leicester away. Gary Weaver, the Sky commentator. There'll be fireworks at the King Power.
I mean, I was saying earlier to Rob, it doesn't feel like you get the same groups of games as you get in the Premier League.
It's all the same.
It really is all the same. You look at them all and you think we could win all of them.
All 46 of them.
Could lose all of them. Yeah. Don't know. Like, normally, but in the Premier League, you kind of go, all right, we've got, not that this happened, but we've got like Man City away, Arsenal home, Liverpool away in a row. Like, that's no points. Not going to do anything there. And that's both the beauty and the downside of this, is that you get to go, well, we could win all of these games feasibly. There's not any that you look at and go, oh, there's no way we're getting anything there.
Yeah.
And the recent Premier League stuff does make me kind of think, do I even care that we're out of it? Like all the stuff going on with Chelsea and Saudi Arabia and all that.
And like Newcastle getting Neves potentially.
Very like blatantly dubious stuff going on. And you do sort of think, it's stupid anyway, isn't it? It's a daft league. I just wish this was the top league.
Yeah.
So we could pretend that we had a chance of winning a good league rather than winning this.
That's the duality of it, isn't it? Like you want to be in the Premier League because it's so much better than the alternative, but then you look at what's going on and you think, I don't want any part of that.
See, that's why I often just think, can't you just go and have your Super League and just leave the rest to us and we'll enjoy it rather than have to hate it.
They'd all get bored anyway and they'd want something else afterwards.
Yeah. Just move Chelsea and Newcastle to Saudi Arabia. Have them play games over there in a different league and leave us alone. Would be my preference. But no, I mean, Cardiff at home. I'm surprised actually. I thought we'd get a slightly more high-profile game because I mean, I don't know.
They're all the same, aren't they? They're all the same.
But is us against Cardiff? Is that still trading on them beating us in the cup like 20+ years ago?
I don't know. It does still feel a little bit like an insult because they're the Championship side we've faced most recently, like in the cup. They would be, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, of course. Forgot about all that. Yeah. I've already blocked all that from my memory.
We have faced a few League One sides like Brentford and Bournemouth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But obviously they don't count. But yes, it feels like we've seen you most recently. Give us something else. But then if it had been anybody else, I'd go, that's boring. Get in the bin. Just don't want any of it. The thing is, what we need to do is we need to get in there and win some games, don't we?
Yes. That makes it all feel a lot better, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Get 12 points in August and we'll all exhale and go, this might be all right, actually. Could be a fun adventure.
I thought you were going to have some form of stat that guarantees promotion.
Did you see the Opta stat that I've reluctantly retweeted this morning from the Square Ball account that it suggests we've got the second easiest opener. The opening 5 games are easiest.
Have they got that on league position last year or something?
It's the average Opta power ranking of the first 5 opponents.
Oh.
So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's like the 538 algorithm or whatever. But yeah, it says that we've got quite an easy start. Southampton have got the easiest.
Just looking at the Championship table for last year, goals for column, Burnley, 87, got 101 points. Sheffield United 73 goals, 91 points. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to revise your algorithm as well.
It's not my algorithm, is it?
Well,
it's something worked out by Sporting Intel, Nick Harris, not me. And it was for the Premier League.
So you get more than a point if you score a goal. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Unless you're at the bottom, then you don't seem to. Then it does seem to track a bit more towards the bottom of the league. But
Let's stay at the top then, I guess.
yeah, that's the easiest way of doing it.
Should we do that?
Yeah, get more points then.
I mean, Luton only scored 57 and got 80 points.
That's not right, is it?
Needs looking into.
It does. We don't have a manager still.
Press the shuffle button again and we'll get one. Let's see who we end up with.
Get Sol Bamber as manager.
It's Lee Johnson. He's not got a job, actually, has he, at the moment? I saw him linked briefly with it, the Leeds job the other day, and I thought, God, please no.
I bet he's come up a bit short in the interviews.
Etc. Etc. No, we should have a manager, shouldn't we?
Yeah. It does beg the question as to why we haven't.
The reason
yet.
we're
I know we're all desperately impatient, but anyway, so go on.
The reason we're recording this on Thursday is because we thought, we'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll wait for the manager. Then we'll be able to talk about that. We'll just wait for the manager. And now, as it's turned out, we've had to do this to prompt the manager being appointed, because that's what normally happens in these situations.
It sounds like Morata didn't fly in until Sunday or maybe even Monday. So let's call it Sunday to err on the side of caution. It does make you wonder why he wasn't in the country a bit sooner to get this done. You know, if they've started doing face-to-face interviews this week. And I know we all want everything yesterday in football, don't we? We want a manager so we can get on with signings and all the rest of it. But I don't know. It's just starting to get to the point where you think, come on, lads, crack on.
Yeah, I suppose relegation and Radrizzani being an idiot has kind of thrown things up in the air. But my sort of thinking towards the end of last season was like, well, come on, they've had like 5 years to prepare for this. When this goes through, they should just hit the big go button, shouldn't they? And everything is immediately fixed. But obviously, it doesn't actually work like that.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even officially own the club yet, do they? As far as
there
we
is
know.
that.
So, do that. Do some other stuff. That's what I ask.
Who do we actually want? Are we still Farker, generally speaking?
I mean, just if only for the voice, yeah. Clearly,
Obviously, yeah.
I was writing in the Daily Email the other day when I think Vieira's name started to get linked a bit more strongly. It was last night. The Guardian were reporting that he's now the front runner. But I was writing in the Daily Email that all these names are kind of a bit underwhelming. But I'd talked myself into Farker. It's like, yeah, he seems the most sensible, obvious candidate. And then Vieira came into the running, and I was like, oh, do I have a tenner on him at 20-1 though? I think I prefer that, to be honest, from a purely selfish point of view.
Take the money.
Yeah. So I don't know. Either it's hard to tell with Vieira. He seems. I think it was quite. I can't say I was an expert on his New York City, or it was Nice, wasn't it? It was that. But he seemed to have quite an underwhelming record there. And then Palace is hard to work out because when he first got that job, everyone was, oh, he's going to be the first to get sacked. This is going to be a disaster. And his first season, he did do well, gets him to the cup final. But then the second one doesn't reflect very well on him at all, really.
No, and the underlying stats in that first season as well, they finished mid-table, but I think, I know it's a pinch of salt sometimes, this stuff, but like the kind of XG table, I'm sure they ended up getting a lot more points than they kind of deserved that season.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the way I always felt watching them. It felt like they'd win games, but not play brilliantly. They didn't seem to really dominate games. From what I mean, admittedly, it's a very small sample size. I don't make a habit of watching Crystal
He
Palace.
seems to start well-ish. I'm just trying to draw some sort of conclusion from what he's done. Like Nice started all right in the first season. They finished 7th, like better in the position of the season before that. But then it all seems to just go off the boil, doesn't it? He was sacked after a run of 5 losses, says Wikipedia. Trusted source here. And it's the same with like, Palace. Didn't he have something like 14 games where they didn't have a shot on target or something?
I think it was a whole season. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was a long stretch without a win, and yeah, I think it wasn't 14. Was it like 2.5 games or something they had without a shot? I think it was. I can't remember. But there's been bad patches, certainly. But I mean, all managers have bad bits, don't they? You can equally look at Farker, who we want, and say, well, didn't he lose like 15 Premier League games in a row or something?
I suppose Farker's just got more obvious good bits, which Vieira, I think, lacks. That's the main
voice,
one.
The hair, the beard, all these things. Vieira got a nice spherical head.
Yeah.
If that's part of the interview process, maybe get out the tape measures.
The calipers.
Yeah, get out the caliper, height versus width ratio. No, it's absolutely perfect.
Good head, that. Good solid head. Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, we're going to be speaking to Phil after this on the show for Friday, and Phil made a good point to me.
The Athletic done a deep dive about how spherical Vieira's head is.
Correct. Yeah, but Phil made a good point. Is that you need a little bit of arrogance and you need a little bit of charisma, I think, to succeed at Leeds. And I thought that's a good point. Is that if you look at the managers who've sort of thrived here at Ellen Road, and Farke just sort of ticks those boxes for me versus Vieira, because Vieira's quite quiet, isn't he? I mean, he's got. I presume he's got the arrogance from having been a top level player, but it's not. He doesn't really use it. I don't think. Not that Farke necessarily does. I'm just trying to, who gets closest to that mould, and is it right? Is it accurate?
I think it could go either way with him. So much depends on how managers look as to how results are going. Like if you lose your first 3 games, most people will visibly shrink a little bit and tend to be a bit apologetic unless you're Dave Hockaday, and then you're like, I'm doing it. It's all going fine. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Vieira, in theory, you would think would be more able to stand up to the pressure, having won stuff at Arsenal. But as a manager, I don't know, is that different?
Well, Farke's got the record, whereas Vieira hasn't in this league specifically.
Scotty Parker's got out of this league twice.
Well, that terrifies me. But then you think about have they got half an eye on what's next, which I think is the mistake or the trap that they could potentially fall into here. They're thinking, would Vieira thrive slightly better in the Premier League? I don't know.
Vieira could get us into a relegation battle in our first year, as he did in his last Premier League job.
It's strange because none of these candidates I don't think particularly really excite anyone. But I've got to the point where I'm like, well, as long as it's not Scott Parker or Gerrard, probably, I'm kind of cool with it. And it's strange because it really flies in the face of everything we learned under Bielsa. But it was like when the Athletic did that survey on their website the other week, and one of the questions was, what do you think is the most important thing for Leeds to get right this summer? And I think the overwhelming answer was the appointment of the manager. But I thought, just sign a load of good players. Like, just get the recruitment right and get some good players, and just have a manager that's like, just go and be good. Because that's the thing. I really don't want Scott Parker because I don't think he's a very good manager. But he has been promoted twice, and that's just been from having good players. And I don't know if part of that as well is because I'm just sick of watching bad players, and I'd just like to watch 46 games of some fun footballers next year. But yeah, I suppose it's just never going to be that simple, is it?
I mean, returning to what you were saying, Michael, you don't look at those fixtures and go, oh, they're terrible, or I hate that run. You just go, we just need to endure this and get through it and hopefully emerge somewhere in the clutch of 3 clubs at the end that gets up. So yeah, you wonder if it's more of a squad building thing. As long as you put a capable coach in there, the division is not obviously anywhere near as strong as the Premier League, just by definition.
It's one of those. The difficult fixtures don't emerge until the season gets going, because normally there's a team in there that overperforms massively. So all of a sudden you look at the start and you might go, like, for this year, for example, you might have gone, Luton, that's not bad. And then as it turns out, they had a really good season and were difficult to beat. So then they become a difficult side, but you don't really know, do you, at this point? Apart from the teams that come down that should be strong, but one of them is us. So do you trust that? Because I don't.
So what we conclude from this is just give someone the job,
get a manager,
sign some players, win some games.
Oh, I mean, if we're not selling any players, I suppose we don't need to sign anyone.
Feel like we're going to sell.
But I feel like we're probably going to sell some people.
Well, it started already, hasn't it? Tyro's gone. Shane Moscow's not here to
he's doing an hour special.
A eulogy, yeah.
I think he might actually be writing a blog about it, but we'll see.
Of course he is.
Dear all of Leeds United, the club that turned me from a boy to a man, the club I've had the highest highs and lowest lows. It's time to say goodbye and to let every single person involved with the club know how much love, respect and appreciation I have for you. You've given me and my family some unforgettable memories. From arriving at 19, you forget he's only still a young man, don't you? And learning what it is to be a professional at such a big club, to the heartbreak of missing promotion, then the bounce back to taking the club back to where it belongs and playing over 50 times in the Premier League with you, scoring my first goals. It really has been a roller coaster, but one I would never change. I wish nothing but love, health, success and happiness to all the fans, players and staff at this beautiful club. See you soon, Tyler. And he's right, second game of the season.
Well, that's nice, isn't it? It's a nice message.
He's a nice lad, isn't he?
I'm sort of surprised we haven't kept him in a way.
I think I'm relieved for his sake. It was like when he went on loan last season. I didn't particularly want him to be a part of the Leeds team, but I don't necessarily think he deserved a lot of the abuse he got. But for his sake, it was like, just go play for someone else and you don't have to have people shout at you all the time, Tyler.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? The existing, the pre-existing legacy players now, in many ways, are going to become the lightning rod for attention if they are the ones who are kind of the standard bearers going into this season.
And you were already seeing it on Twitter, people being like, fucking hell, if Tyler Roberts is in the team next season, we've got no chance and all this. And it's like, well, you don't even know if he's going to be here or not. Or what
and also,
like.
he did play quite a lot when we did go up.
Well, exactly, yeah. And that was, it's a strange one, Roberts, because I don't think he was helped at all by essentially trying to turn into a central midfielder or some kind of attacking midfielder. But then I always thought it was better as a striker. But then having said that, his goal record is pretty terrible. So.
Maybe that was it, though. We never quite knew what he was, and he's one of those people you keep moving around. And Gelhardt's possibly in danger of falling into the same, down the same crack almost, if you like.
But it seemed to be like that at QPR for Roberts, where I think he was kind of playing wide in a front three, and whereas for us he'd played centrally. And yeah, he's just not hit his groove yet, has he? But he's a Midlands boy, isn't he? So I suppose go back there. Find a home. Oh, I hope it goes well for him, just not against Leeds.
Yeah, exactly. And like Chesney Hawkes, he's a man, not a boy now.
Yes. One for the kids.
Yeah.
And so on. The 21, speaking of the boys, 21s, that's been the Premier League conspiracy against us, adopting the old Wolves mantle here, is switching to the Swiss model for the forthcoming season. So that's the Premier League 2, as in the 21s. Premier League 2 split into Premier League 2, Division 1 and 2. Very straightforward.
Now one big league.
It's just one big league. Premier League 2, 25 teams, all in one big pot. In the Swiss model, where they play, it's how the Champions League is going to be restructured. I can't be asked explaining it.
It's incredibly convoluted.
Yeah. You play everybody. You play everybody in your pot, and then you play one team at least from every other pot. And stuff.
Yeah, and then there's a 16-team playoff, and this is how the Champions League is going to be in a couple of years. It's all very strange because they've basically accepted that the current model doesn't prepare players for first team football, and they're worried that with promotion and relegation, too many clubs are basically playing overage players. But then I don't really understand how this makes things any better, in that you probably play quite a lot more meaningless games if there's no relegation or promotion.
I guess it's the thing of playing against the higher standard, isn't it, sometimes? But then this Swiss model, I guess it's a little bit like the Nations League, isn't it, where they almost seed people into pots and you can move between them, but I don't know.
I mean, in the Champions League, they've done it to make sure the big teams stay in and get more money.
Yeah.
So why they've done it in this? It's difficult as development football because there's an argument to say that relegation and promotion is pretty much a distraction in it, because you can have a year where you go, oh, brilliant, we've been promoted, we've won the league or whatever, but then if no players come out of it,
But
so what? Whereas if you get relegated, but you've got one absolute star comes out of your team, it's kind of a successful year. So it's always a bit of it's always a bit disconnected from the end result is youth football. I think it's like when we won the Youth Cup against Scum way back when. We didn't win the battle. We didn't win the war in that one, did we? Because they went on to have years of success with Beckham and Neville, etc.
Nah, I don't believe you. Dear me. So that's
a bit harsh to get us promoted and then go, right,
completely piss on it.
we keep the trophy, surely.
You know why I've done that? No reason. Waste of time. All those playoff games you did too.
It is strange though, because the argument seems to be is that these young footballers need to play more competitive, meaningful games against senior players, and they've gone, too many senior players are playing, and we don't want promotion or relegation because they're too meaningful and competitive. So it all comes down to just play them in the first team. I was going to say, experience that way.
If they have a knockout bit at the end, there's going to be loads of dead rubbers at the end, isn't there? Then it's going to be. I mean, I'm just looking at the quotes here. Somebody's saying that people remain concerned that the new one-tier system will reduce the amount of jeopardy or meaningful competition in the latter stages of the season. So it actually takes some of that away.
And they only played 20 games before the playoffs, which is fewer than last season. So they're playing fewer games overall as well. I don't know. It all just boils down to everyone's like, these players need first team experience. How are we going to find a really convoluted way to mirror that? And it's like, just fucking play them in the first team. I'll let other clubs have them rather than stockpiling all these kids.
Victor Orta, he's got a new gig now.
Yes, well deserved.
Yeah, he's gone to Sevilla as the sporting director there, replacing his hero and the guy he considers his mentor, Monchi, who's gone to Villa, who's got a really convoluted title there, hasn't he? Like global head of football operations or something like that. It's proper Bond supervillain level stuff. But so Victor looked happy, didn't he? His photos, signing his 3-year contract.
He's done well out of this, hasn't he? It's considering the way his previous 2 jobs at Leeds and Borough have ended, he's done remarkably well to get what essentially seems to be his dream job. I feel like there's parallels between him getting this job and Jesse Marsch getting the Leipzig job, in that it's like you've got the top job at the organisation that has supposedly taught you everything you know. So let's see what you've actually learned.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes, I think.
Yeah, at least he kind of this is the acid test of his abilities, isn't it? And we're not the ones being subjected to it, to his whims anymore. It's funny, isn't it? I don't hate Victor Orta. I've seen a lot of hate for
El conoce el club.
Sorry?
That means, according to Google Translate, that's he knows the club.
Oh, okay.
In Spanish.
Yeah.
That's what they're all saying, apparently.
I think he's hugely responsible for what happened at Leeds and the relegation. I think if you could concentrate the blame into anyone, I mean, I know in the Athletic survey, it all kind of landed in the lap of Radrizzani, didn't it? But he was the prism through which all this was passed, was Victor Orta, wasn't he, and his whims? Because he spoke actually in the interview with his appointment at Sevilla about him. He said him and the CEO, so he's referring to Kinnear, were running the club, is what he said. So he was in charge of the whole football side of it. So he's actually, in his own way there in the interview, exposed the problem that was at Leeds, in that possibly he had too much power. I don't hate him.
I was running that thing as I crashed it into the rocks.
Yeah, it's weird. But it's weird. He's kind of said, "I don't care about the past now," as well. I mean, I'm paraphrasing there, but it was something along the lines of just forget the past.
I forgot all the bad stuff once I shut the door. Or something. It's like, cheers, Victor.
It's good for you.
Yeah,
we haven't. We've now got to endure the price of your folly.
I also enjoyed the Yorkshire Evening Post story. It was like, we don't know the situation of how he left Leeds, and he might be able to use his insider knowledge of the Leeds players' release clauses and wages against us now. You think, yeah, go on, Victor. you remember Junior Firpo?
Yeah.
It's not like there's a big secret in football, is there, where they're not all talking and like agents not circulating it.
I'm going to say, if an agent tries to get a player out of the club and there's a release clause, they will be making absolutely sure everyone knows about it. It's not like you have to make a secret bid and they go, oh, well, would you believe it? That has actually met the release clause. We weren't going to tell anyone, but... So
I know people are annoyed at like $3.5 million for Rodrigo, and I think Rodrigo would probably be an asset in this division if we could retain him. But if it is $3.5 million and he does go back there, I'm like, fine, we've got some money back for a guy who's in his approaching, is he 32, 33 now? So coming up for the twilight years of his career, not exactly being an athlete, has he? And I think I could find a bit of money back for him in the final year of his contract. Fine.
3.5 does seem cheap, doesn't it?
It does, but you've got to reflect the value of how long's left on the contract.
I feel like we'll probably end up paying that for Naki Wells, just as part of the Championship reshuffle button.
That was a name I didn't want to hear.
Where is Naki Wells these days?
For now.
Dear me.
Us soon, I'm sure. I'm absolutely certain he'll be playing for us. Have a guess. Where do you think he is? He is still in the Championship.
Bristol.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is it Bristol City still?
That's where he was when we last left him there, I think.
I was amazed. I thought he'd have had a move. Maybe two moves, to be honest. But no, he's been stuck there.
Good for him. Rodrigo won. He won the Nations League, talking of Rodrigo, didn't he? With Spain, he got a trophy. Did Diego Llorente play? I can't remember.
He wasn't involved, I don't think.
Sounds like he's off to Roma as well, isn't it?
Yeah, although I guess they're renegotiating that.
Something like that. If we got, again, 10 million for him, and I know he's just...
if we got 10 million for him, that'd be unbelievable.
I know. I mean, he's not a terrible footballer, is he? And obviously, just for whatever reason, a number of these signings that Orta brought in just could not cope with the intensity of the Premier League. But he looked good for a time, didn't he? Did old disco legs.
But then last season, wow.
Yeah, it all went bad for a lot of people, didn't it? But yeah, just returning to Orta, how do you feel about him now when you saw it? Did you get angry or annoyed or just think, oh, shut up?
I think I would have been annoyed if I'd allowed myself to read it all, but I tried to just ignore it.
Yeah.
Because I thought, it's just... I think nothing he could say would probably change my opinion on it, to be honest. So I think he, in the end, did a terrible job and made some decisions that cost us very badly. Yeah. And signed some players who we've overpaid for enormously and created an imbalanced squad, which was essentially the reason you have a director of football is so you don't have an imbalanced squad, because the idea is you have an overriding strategy that moves beyond managers. And as it is, we kind of had 3 years with no left back or a shit left back.
Yeah, it was quite the opposite, wasn't it? Because he signed everybody for the managers. Like Dan James was signed for Bielsa, and then he went and signed a lot of Red Bull players for...
Yeah, but then there are others. Then you get players like Rocker and Rutte,
who were his whims.
But you think, well, who are these for? What are they for? Like, I don't know, because Rocker felt like you're doing the Red Bull thing, but then Rocker was signed almost separate to that and didn't fit that, but he still wanted him. He still wanted him. Like there was talk that he was trying to give him to Bielsa as well, wasn't there? At one point, he was sort of talking up Rocker.
Give him or inflict him.
You're having this guy. And then, we end the season with Darren Forshaw still our best midfielder.
Yeah. I don't, just to close out that point, I don't hate him, but I'll never forgive him for his hubris in taking us where he took us.
Yeah. And the managerial appointments, that's probably the worst of his crimes, I would say.
I think there's hubris baked into that, isn't there, with putting Marsh in, thinking that was the natural successor to Bielsa.
One enormous hit, but then Thomas Christensen, Paul Heckingbottom, what happened this season? Just a shambles.
Wrapping up the stuff then from the international break, Wolf Nonto didn't play against Spain, but did play versus Netherlands in the third place player for the Nations League.
I don't know about you two, but these international games have really caught me by surprise.
Yeah, I wasn't aware they were happening either.
I think we got relegated and I went, fuck off.
Yeah. And then we went and did the walk, obviously, which kind of was all encompassing.
Yeah.
And you come back, there's football still going on. The season actually hasn't still ended.
I was at a mate's house on, was it Friday when England played that first game? And about half an hour before kick-off, he was like, should we put the football on? And I was like, why? Who's playing? It's England. I was like, really? Oh, fair enough. But yeah.
Calvin got his goal as well.
He did. That was nice. It was nice seeing with reunited with Alioski. I didn't watch that either. I did watch the clip of Calvin scoring on Twitter and couldn't help but smile at the sight of Alioski just sort of watching the cross come in while he's not marking anyone. And then I've also seen a tweet of Saka's hat-trick, and for all three of them goals, you just see Alioski completely out of position, just watching him score. You think, I still love him. Bless him.
Yeah, it was nice to see him together anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, a reminder of better times, wasn't it?
I was just looking, it's no wonder this feels like it's gone on forever. The season started on the 6th of August.
Jesus.
And it's still going on. We're like at the end of June now. Why is it still happening?
It's a stupid World Cup, wasn't it?
Someone just end this season.
It has ended now.
Is that it?
That's it.
There's not going to be like Australia playing tonight or something.
There is Willie is playing for Italy's under-21s now. There's like the under 21 Euros, which I think like Charlie Cresswell's involved. I think Somerville played last night. But yeah, Willie played on the wing for Italy's senior team, and he was credited with an assist.
Yeah, not really.
Which it was kind of just him getting having a shot and getting clattered on the edge of the box and the ball falling to a teammate. But,
have you picked up on any of these rumours about Nonto disciplinary problems maybe at the club? Like he wasn't showing up for training, or he was refusing to train and things?
No.
Haven't heard of any of that.
I feel like that's just because he was a bit off the boil at the end of the season, like the rest of the team, and because he was so good previously, everyone's a bit like something. It's a bit like the Watford half-time thing. Everyone's like, something must have happened.
Watford, Palace,
Watford, whatever.
That's next year.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's just that the suggestion that he'd been like misbehaving and not turning up for training and stuff, and getting dropped off late by his dad and stuff, things like that.
He's too pure, isn't he? I mean, that was the thing. That was the thing.
Or maybe he's just acting his age because he's a kid.
But he was like the good influence on Somerville, wasn't he? He was meant to be like the well-behaved one.
Well, that's why I kind of wondered about this because, and that there seems to be, like Phil's been reporting, there's a willingness to let Somerville go and some way below his release clause, maybe something like 12 million, get him to fine or something. And I wonder if maybe that's part of it because they want to separate these naughty boys.
I heard Willie Nonto started wearing a leather jacket.
Is he riding a motorbike?
Yep.
It was probably one of the highlights of the season looking back when Somerville scored, was it around his birthday? And Marsh was like, yeah, he's staying in the country, he's not allowed back home. And then like the next day it was Somerville on Instagram, clearly in Holland.
Little scum bastard.
Scored, didn't he?
He did score against Armenia, but unfortunately Wales lost to Armenia. Do you see that? What?
Whatever, really.
Yeah. So he's going to be one of the stars of the championship, possibly.
I think it's probably his level.
He was...
I'd be good at it.
What was he, third in our player of the year this year or something?
Yes, of course. Yes.
That's the point. We need to return to that. We have had a little bit of feedback on what we should do. We don't have the clips to hand now, but we have had some suggestions. So maybe we could pick that up next week when we've got nothing to talk about. Because you're just asking about the season finishing, Michael. I'm just looking at the calendar. The new one officially starts in just 9 days. 1st of July is the first day of the new season, isn't it? Like from a financial point of view.
Don't tell me we've got a friendly, something I have to watch. I need a bit more time.
Well, I'm on a stag do next Saturday, so I'll be marking the occasion by having a couple of shandies in Newcastle. But who else has played? So
Liam Cooper was a hero for Scotland.
Yep,
did some good shouting, according to John McGinn.
Bled a bit as well.
Oh, really? Nice.
So that was good.
Rasmus came on for Denmark as they beat Northern Ireland. Verba played half a game for Austria against Belgium. And congratulations to our American cousins for lifting the CONCACAF Nations League. And
I didn't know the CONCACAF Nations League was a thing. I thought it was a European thing, the Nations League.
They got drunk.
Yeah, he did. He was. We've been advocating for him to just go and get leathered for ages, haven't we?
Yeah.
Stumbling around on the coach, wasn't he? People cheered him on.
Yeah, it's good. I think we could get.
FaceTiming. What's his girlfriend called? Milana. Yeah, FaceTiming her. Oh, baby, I feel so lightheaded.
Oh, bless them. They had a nice holiday too.
Where have they been?
They went.
You still stalking them?
Yep. They went to Daya in Mallorca, which is lovely.
All right.
Really nice.
Did you see the picture of him snorkeling?
Oh, I missed that.
No, it's a good. I think I've screenshotted that. I'll show you.
Okay, good. But yeah, she's still taking pictures of pottery and stuff.
That's nice. And congratulations to Weston McKennie as well, who was part of the squad. I mean, he got suspended for the final, didn't he, after he was scrapping against Mexico. He showed more fight, etc. He
ate some chicken out of the cup after they'd won it as well. Which, whatever. It's just what he does, isn't it?
Yes. Well, there you go. Is that everything?
Yeah.
Before we go, then, we do need to mention Gordon McQueen as well, who passed away at the age of 70 and played alongside Norman Hunter in the title-winning season in 73-74. Obviously, muckied his ticket a bit by going over the Pennines in 1978, but another former great, another one who's gone, another hero. The passing of time, it's sad, isn't it?
And would have played in the European Cup win as well, had he not been suspended. So who knows? Who knows if he could have influenced the referee as much as Franz Beckenbauer did in that particular one.
Yep, rest in peace, Gordon McQueen. We'll wrap it up there then for this week. Plenty more to talk about with Phil a little bit later on, so look out for the show in your feed after this. On YouTube as well now. We've poached him for the pods from The Athletic. He's still at The Athletic. There are some people thinking that he's completely left. He hasn't. He's still doing his Athletic thing, but we're just doing the pods now, aren't we? So we'll be speaking to Phil in a bit. We'll try and get the lowdown on the manager situation.
Still not appointed one, by the way. I've just checked.
Have we not?
Because I was thinking it would be great if it was announced literally the second we finished. But no, it's
11:30.
11:30 on the 22nd, and still no manager.
Good?
No, not good.
No.
Appoint someone for fuck's sake.
We'll see you in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.